Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. You've tuned in to Moving Forward, Building Resilience, a webinar series designed to build capacity, knowledge, and resilience in FASD. My name is Eric, and I'll be your moderator for this event. We appreciate you attending today, and we hope that you are all able to stay safe and healthy at home. We have over 3. This webinar series is hosted by Surrey Place, a service organization in Toronto, Ontario. We help adults and children living with developmental disabilities, autism spectrum disorder, visual impairments, and FASD reach their full potential through our clinical services, groups and workshops, as well as extensive services to community agencies. Some general housekeeping for today. At the end of the presentation, we will have time for questions and answers. If you have a question, we ask that you type it into the Q&A section, which is indicated on your screen as an icon with a question mark at the top right. Questions will be read to the panel from this section. Please remember to indicate to whom your question is geared toward. The session is being recorded and will be available on our website using the hashtag FASDresilience. We want to acknowledge our partners for making this event possible. A big thank you to the Hospital for Sick Kids Foundation, the Scarborough Health Network, and Unity Health. Today is day 2 of our webinar series, and we are discussing living with the diagnosis. Joining us on our panel today are 3 women, Marie-Lynne, Colette, and Melony. First, we'd like to share a video taken from our discussions with them. If you are having technical difficulties watching the video this morning, we will be putting up a YouTube link in the chat box in the Q&A section. Thank you.
Our first speaker today is a young woman named Melony. She was diagnosed as a child with a mild intellectual disability, and it wasn't until she was older that she was diagnosed with FASD. She lives with her aunt and uncle, and they're helping her raise her child. Melony has overcome many challenges in her life and is now living a full life that she's very proud of.
I work at a coffee shop. I am an experienced barista. I grew up with my mother until I was 21. Then after that, I had a child. And then I moved in with my aunt and uncle.
Joining us next is Marie-Lynne. Diagnosis came at a much later time for Marie-Lynne. As a child, she faced challenges in school, but with support and hard work, she eventually graduated from a 3-year college program in fashion design. She then left her family home and moved to Toronto to work in a clothing manufacturing business. Even with her mother's ongoing support, she struggled with their responsibilities of holding down a job and living independently. 3 years ago, Marie-Lynne reached out to Surrey Place inquiring about an FASD assessment, and a lot has happened since.
My name is Marie-Lynne LeBlanc. I'm 28 years old. I was born in Hamilton, Ontario. I lived in a foster home till I was 3, and then I was adopted and grew up in New Brunswick. In school, I had some difficulties, like learning difficulties. I was always kind of learning at a slower pace than the other children.
Our last person to talk about her experiences today is Colette. Colette had to overcome many obstacles. Like so many parents out there, her parents did not know that Colette had a diagnosis of FASD when they adopted her and struggled with ways to support her. Colette is the mother of 2 children, and her firstborn child is also diagnosed with FASD. This gives Colette a unique experience of what it is like to have FASD and also having to support a child with a diagnosis. Colette lives such a full life, and I'm sure that the audience would love to hear her story.
My name's Colette Philcox. I'm a survivor of FASD. I was adopted when I was 3.5 years old to Bonnie and Brian Philcox. Went through life with learning disabilities and not trying to understand what was going on for the first little bit of grade school. I work in the film industry, in locations. Graduated high school. This is kind of going all over the place, but graduated high school. Have a few degrees in college. And I'm a mother of 2, one with fetal alcohol syndrome, and have 3 very large dogs.
Yes, it has helped me because when I was a kid, I was having all these problems in school. So I was really relieved to know that was why I was having all these troubles in school. Well, my experiences in school, I was getting into trouble, and also the work that the other kids would understand, I couldn't understand it because it was not a way for me to get it. Like, it was just kind of basically do it. They didn't really teach you, they didn't show me how to actually do it. They just kind of said, here, do this. I wish at the time that the teachers knew about FASD, because back in the day, they didn't know about FASD. So it would have been helpful for the teachers to know.
So you moved in with your aunt and uncle when you had your child?
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about that? How that came about?
Well, he had some medical problems, so they were concerned that I wasn't going to be able to take care of him. So I ended up moving in with my aunt and uncle.
And your aunt and uncle have been very supportive to you?
Yes, they have.
Your aunt knew that you, as a child, you were diagnosed with a mild developmental disability.
Yes.
But when you moved in with your aunt, she felt that there was something else, right?
Yes, she did. So she wanted to she suggested to get an FASD assessment done.
Okay.
So she contacted Surrey Place, and after that I was assessed, and I was assessed at 22 years old. As an adult, I need instructions, like step-by-step instructions of how to, and break things down for me to understand it. And then I am a visual learner, that if you show me something once and over, then I start getting it. Yes, I applied for ODSP. They offered me counseling, but I didn't think I needed counseling. My aunt and uncle now understand this is the way I learn, and I also now know, okay, this is the way I learn now, and it just helped me. I was relieved to know the FASD was the reason that I had all these problems in school, and then I needed help with things that other people can do on their own. So certain things I need help with, and other things I'm good at. So it was really relieved for me because now I know. Yes, it would give people a better understanding of themselves, to know when you get frustrated, they would know why. And also people could get books from the library to read and get more information about FASD, and then they also can would help them understand their struggles that they have experienced in their life. So my living situation is I live with my aunt and uncle since my child was 3 weeks old. We live in a house. I have my own basement apartment. A family in the community who heard about my life and offered to renovate the basement in my aunt's house. And they also purchased me a couch and furniture. My child is 12 years old and has needs. My aunt and uncle are in their late 50s and have changed their retirement plans for me and my child. They're planning on retiring at some point and are thinking of downsizing. We're trying to come up with a plan on how me and my child can live together in our own apartment. Budgeting my money is very difficult because I have to try to figure out how to budget the money, what money I need to save to pay for stuff that I have to pay on a monthly basis.
Yeah. And then what about food for yourself?
I make sure I do a lot of the grocery shopping, so I make sure my son has food. I would need help to do like the medical appointments for him, because I have to figure out the scheduling, making sure, and then to get to where he has to go, I may need to have someone help me drive him there, or depending where it is, I'm good at riding the TTC. My supports I have currently in place is I'm currently receiving ODSP. I'm registered with the Developmental Services. I get passport funding. I also have employment support, and I also have an adult protective service worker. It's important to have financial support because you may not be able to work full time. Also, a caseworker would be important because they would be able to help you get the support, get services that you need for you and your child, if you have a child. Also, if you don't have family to help you get services and support, they would also be able to help you get those services. When I had my child, I did not know how to parent him and how to talk to him and play with him. My aunt had to teach me, and now I have a great connection with him. My aunt quit her job to help me raise my son. Because my aunt has joint custody with me, she takes him to school and is able to talk to the teachers, the doctors about certain things, about his progress. As he's getting older, it's becoming easier for me to parent him. I make sure he has what he needs, but without my aunts and uncle's support, I wouldn't have been able to do it on my own. It would have been more harder for me. Yes, they were. Once they came involved after he was born because they were concerned about I guess they were just concerned because he's so small and he had some medical issues, that they were just concerned I wasn't going to be able to take care of him. I needed that extra support. My aunt and me have guardianship together. My biggest challenge is I was growing up and living with my mother, and it has been very stressful. And it had been just a lot of things happening and going on, and moved around a lot, went to schools a lot, switched, couldn't make friends. I was a very nervous child because it was just, I didn't know what to expect. But with the help of my aunt and uncle, I was able to overcome it. I chose not to have any contact with my mother. I would say parenting my child was the hardest. Without my aunt and uncle, I wouldn't have been able to do it all on my own. And having the right support has helped me. I would want people to know that just because we have an FASD diagnosis doesn't mean we can't succeed. I don't always talk about my diagnosis because I don't want people judging me and thinking I can't do anything. I've been successful, and I think people out there who put their people with FASD, they put their mind to something they want to do or they love to do. Just go for it, because you'll get there. You'll get to where you want to be. Always have good friends, have people that trust you and that believe in you, and family. When people don't appreciate you, what you can do, just always stay positive, just walk away from the situation. We are all human beings, and we all learn differently. Everyone has strengths and everyone has challenges. I've been very active in the community. I've volunteered with Brownies and Guides for the last 10 years. In 2017, I received an award, Leading Women Building Community Awards by the Province of Ontario, which was presented to me by the Honorary Harris, the Minister of the Status of Women. Right now, I am involved with a new program at Surrey Place called the Lived Experience Staff Member program that provides me the opportunity to gain vulnerable skills in various departments like the HR resources, the adult program, marketing, doing a lot of marketing, health records department. And then also for the last 9 years, I've been working at a coffee shop. I've worked at the 3 different locations. With the help of a job coach, I like working and want to continue working. In a few years, the goal is for me to live with my child in our own apartment.
Yeah, so when I was younger, my sister had more issues in school than I did, sort of. I guess for me it was like not as obvious. I was adapting more to challenges than she was, and she had a social life, and I just kind of like tried more. Like, I don't know, I focused more on school. But my mother tried to get her diagnosed or something back then, because my mother knew that our biological mother had been drinking while she was pregnant, so she kind of knew that we had it, but she didn't know that it affected me that much. I had like muscle aches and stuff, so we always thought it was more of like a physical thing that I was affected with. But yeah, and my mom had this like fetal alcohol syndrome book. So when I moved here, I had a lot of difficulties on my own. My mother was always a big supporter for me, and when I moved here on my own, I realized that maybe I should look into getting a diagnosis. So I was struggling a lot, especially balancing work and my personal life, but the training was getting difficult at work, and my friends, like my roommates, were noticing things about me, that I was like never sleeping, and like that I was just like very impulsive and struggled with like organizing paying bills and stuff. Like I always have rent on time, but when it comes to bills that are not set, like a set price, like my phone bill, it kind of changes, and it's at a random day, like it's not at the end of the month. I get really confused. But yeah, my boss kind of realized that like she would give me tasks and I wouldn't remember all of them. I would remember like the last thing that she told me, but like not all of them. And then she also like she would walk away, and like they didn't really know if I got everything, because I was still processing things. Like it takes me longer to process things. So yeah, they're like, I never know if you know what I tell you. But yeah, just like between that and my personal life and everything, I just kind of felt like I was failing at stuff. So I reached out. I looked up online how to get FASD, like an FASD clinic diagnosis or whatever. It's helped a lot. I have like more of an understanding, and people in my life have more of an understanding about it. I'm able to be open about it. I met my boyfriend after I got diagnosed, so I was able to kind of like tell him about it, and he understands, and he's like good with like reminding me to do stuff and everything, and like people don't get offended as much about if I say something or whatever. I don't know, if I do stuff that is impulsive or forgetful or everything that comes with it. So it's been really helpful for me. So I definitely encourage other people to. It's helped me so much to get the diagnosis. I have a better understanding of myself, and I know what I'm good at and what I'm bad at, and I know why. Yeah, I did a lot of research on it actually, and I realized why I was the way I was. I watched a lot of YouTube videos about people that went through it. There's also some, I kind of reached out on Instagram, I typed it on Instagram, like FASD stuff, and there are some people on there that are trying to like advocate or show awareness, or some people are showing what they're going through on a daily basis too. So, and there's one actually that I found that was I think she's a mother of kids that have it. So like, yeah, over quarantine, I was watching videos. She was like showing how she was doing the homeschooling, and I thought that was really interesting. So I only have ODSP. I wish I had more help. I wish I had like a caseworker. I think everybody should have a case manager to help with booking appointments and budgeting and finances and making sure we get to places on time and stuff like that. I kind of wish I had like somebody to help with my nutrition and cooking and stuff, to be honest. And like subsidized housing, because right now I live in a 1-bedroom and I'm renting out the bedroom, and I have like curtains in the living room to separate, so I can't actually afford my room anymore, my apartment anymore. So that would be nice. Help with like finding work and stuff if we lose our jobs. That would be super helpful. But like my rent is always on time, so. My mom has helped me in the past. She's had to like bail me out of situations where bills were high, and it was like, so luckily I have her. When I got hired at the costume rental store, I was originally working at the front desk, and there's a lot of multitasking involved. The phones are constantly ringing, and you have to scan in stuff and scan out stuff and return things and check and make sure. And then there's pictures involved, and so there was a lot of stuff to do and tasks to remember, and I would make a lot of mistakes, and I could tell my boss was like kind of on the verge of firing me. But there was another position that opened up, and I told her that, and it involves like putting clothing back to stock and working more on the floor, and so I told her I would be good at that because I knew where everything went, and it would be easier to just train me at that than explaining to somebody else like everything about the store. So I do that now, and I work at a nursing home at the front desk. I work evenings, so it's a lot quieter. It's also really close to where I live, so it's easier to get there. So I told my employer at the costume rental shop that I have a disability, so she's been really good at being understanding and making like adapting and giving me tasks that she knows I can do and stuff. But the nursing home, I haven't told them, and I can tell that like some of my coworkers are like get frustrated with me because of like certain things. But like apparently one of them is like always complaining that I don't do certain things, but I do. There's just certain things I don't remember, and I don't really want to bring up the fact that I have it. Yeah, I might have to eventually though, because if it gets to a point where they think that I'm like being lazy or something, or like not trying to do my job properly, then I might have to like bring it up and be like, I'd like to go back to school. I'm not really sure what I want to study, but I'd like to go back to school. I find it really hard though to like reach goals financially, like to save money, put aside money to go to school, and I don't think that I have the funds to go right now or anything. So I don't know. It would be cool to have some kind of grants for people with disabilities. That would be cool. I really want to record my own music. I like to write songs and play guitar. So that would be something that I really want to do. I also would like to have my own clothing line and sell it. So I like to sew and make clothes. But like I really want to have like a normal family life and be able to afford my own place, have like a house or whatever, family and a husband and stuff, and not have any issues. That would be nice. I think a lot of people are not aware of what FASD is. And I think they have the wrong impression, or there's a stigma or something around it, that they have this assumption that the mother was like a drunk or something, but they don't realize that it's really easy for somebody to, even if they just drink a little bit, to end up for the child to end up with FASD, or even if you just drink one day a lot or something in the beginning of the pregnancy, and you don't even know you're pregnant, you can, like, your child can still have it. So I think raising awareness of that would be good. If people could understand as well that we're not irresponsible or lazy or whatever. And I'd like people to know that, like, we're always trying our best, you know, but it's, like, really hard sometimes. School was really difficult. Yeah, back then it was like people didn't realize what a disability was. They would kind of make fun or like say rude things. It was just frustrating because I was always the last one who was to take notes. Like, I was always behind when reading things. Eventually I gave up on even like trying to read things when the teacher was like, hey, read this section or whatever, and then she would ask questions right after, and like I never had the answer to it because I never had the gist of it, because everybody else would, like, I would still be at the first page and I'd see everybody else turning their page and I'd get stressed out, and I knew the time was running out, and so that was really hard. With school I got a lot of tutoring, especially in math, and I got like I said, like, they would extend time. I would stay behind in class to take notes. I would do a bunch of stuff like that. My mom was a big supporter. She's always been there for me, so that was really helpful. So graduating on time was really difficult, but I managed to do it, which I'm really proud of. Kids grew up faster than I did, and like eventually we grew apart. And I always just kind of felt like the annoying little sister sometimes. I have a really good group of friends, though, that have lasted throughout the years, but they always kind of like would laugh at mistakes that I made, or like they would always just be like, you do weird, like, dumb things or whatever, like, I don't know. So after a while, it really gets old, I don't know, especially when you're like trying to like date people, and it's like with friends it's fine, but when you're like trying to be in relationships or whatever, like they're just like, why are you irresponsible? Yeah, that's hard. Like, the good thing about this is that I always knew what I was like really bad at and what I was really good at, so I was able to just focus on what I was good at and just eventually just master my craft and succeed in that. So live life for yourself, make yourself happy, and don't compare yourself to other people, and learn at your own pace.
I was diagnosed when I was about 16, 17 years old. And in school, challenges would be math, for one. I did understand the concepts of math. It took me a while to figure out even money, and I have it now. Took me a while, but I've developed coping skills and coping strategies just for that aspect of life. At home, it was authority figure. Didn't like the authority figures. You know, that was, you can't tell me what to do. You know, I'm my own person. There's only so much a child with FASD can intake. So not to try and cram everything down that kid's throat in an 8-hour day. Might take 3 hours for one block of, say, spelling, but the kid will get it. And if you want to keep cramming it, the kid's just going to shut down, and you'll notice that. And it usually comes out in either behavioral or other manners, and you don't want any of that. That's not fun. If the teachers understood and weren't quite so quick to judge. If the teachers would understand that some kids don't always learn from a book, some kids rather learn or are better at learning with their hands or visually sometimes, or even audio from hearing it. For me, it's hands-on. You want me to say, learn how to take apart an electrical something, you better be taking it apart in front of me with me while I'm watching and doing it and helping you, and by the time we're done, I'll have it. When I first got the job, it was I was paired up with somebody else. I had explained to my boss about my disability, and so I was paired up with a very senior employee who walked me through step for step for step, and it was, I'd say, about 2 weeks before they actually said, okay, yeah, you can be out on your own, it's all good. So the job is very vast. I've had to we call it a green paper, and it's basically a permission form to certain people's homes who are in shot, but the location manager hasn't been able to get a hold of them. And I've been given the permission to go as far up monetary wise of how much we can buy off their front lawn or so on and so forth. I was given my boss's debit card, and he goes, I need that house, I need that lawn, you can go up to $1,000. That's it. My support over the years, up until now, has been my mom and my dad. And within the last 15, 20 years, I'd have to knock my boyfriend in with that too. And my daughter as well. She acts like mom. Say the boyfriend and I want to go out, and back before COVID, want to say go to the bar or something and play some pool, have a couple drinks. I had a time to be home. She'd say, I need you home by 10:30. And she's 19 now. This was last year, so she was 18. So she's very, if I go to make purchases on Amazon, did you pay the hydro bill? Or do we have groceries in the fridge? And she just keeps my, tether really tight sometimes. The only supports and services I've ever received is ODSP. That's it. No case manager, no social worker, none of it. ODSP does not cover anything other than my rent, which is a beautiful house in the Rouge Valley. $1,400 rent. That's my ODSP. So if I want to put groceries in the fridge, I want to say buy clothes for the kids, I want to pay for my cell phone, I want say dogs, so I have to be able to pay for the vet and their food and grooming if need be. I need to work and to bring in money. So that would be a big one for me, is for ODSPs to be raised, for them not to take money from people who are actually trying to work. It's not our fault we have disabilities. We weren't, did this to ourselves purposely, that we were born this way. Even people who have disabilities that they weren't born with shouldn't have to have their checks clawed back because of it. People have a lot of misconceptions about children and people with FASD. That we all can't survive, or we all can't basically live our lives as a regular human being, and that we can't live independently, or we can't do things on our own, or we can't hold down a job, or that we're just stupid. I hold down a job, I live independently, I raised 2 kids. I have a pretty high IQ. At least that's what the person who tested my IQ and my parents tell me. But we're not all dumb. And even if one of us is freaking out and putting holes in the wall, there's a reason. There's a back reason for that kid freaking out. Okay, so after I had my kids, I was with their father, their birth father, and he was a chore, probably affected with FASD too, but never diagnosed, never even wanted to get diagnosed. I ended the relationship. My mom did not like the birth father at all, so she was concerned about the kids. So she called Children's Aid when my son was, I'm going to say, about 7 months old. Children's Aid worker came in. There was some grief between me and my mom for a while after that, but I understood where she came from, so it's all good. I knew my kids would be safe with my parents, so I moved both my children to my parents' house, where they stayed up until about, I think they were, like 10 or 11, something like that. And then they came home. Now that I've got my own place with the kids, it's awesome. The big challenges for me living on my own would be usually trying to figure out what bills to pay, and if the money's there to pay them, paying them on time is a big one. I usually get a lot of interest fees. What I do is I have everything sent to me paper-wise, but I have my bills sent to me, and I have a board at home, a cork board, and I take them out, and it's right where you see it. So no matter where part of the house you're in, you're gonna see it. So you leave the house, it's there. You come in the house, it's there. You go in the kitchen, it's there. And it has every single bill opened and tacked to the board and big highlighted numbers of exactly when it's due, how much it is, and if it's being paid. I think the biggest challenge that I've had to overcome would be, one, the addiction issues I had when I was younger. Two would be I had to come out just accepting the disability. I did not accept this disability. I thought it was a scapegoat for my parents. Some say that they didn't parent well. Mind you, they parent the best that I've ever seen. So another challenge probably be financial. Learning how to deal with finances. The strategies are quite simple. Now that for me they're simple because I've used them most of my life. One would be, if you don't have a secondary brain, i.e. my dad, get one. Very helpful. When if I have to make such a big decision, or I have to buy something very large with a lot of money, I go to my dad and I'll say, hey, what do you think about this? And he'll come back, well, can you afford it? He will talk me through step by step if need be. So if, say, I wanted to buy a house, he'd sit down with me and say, listen, okay, you need this as a down payment, you need this as a mortgage payment, you need to deal with the lawyer payment, and as well as you've got your seller's fees and this and taxes and this and that, and he's very good that way. If I didn't have my dad or my mom previously, I don't think I'd be here and in this state. If I could give advice to the youth and the children, I would say it gets easier as time goes on. Listen to your parents or your foster parents or your guardians, whoever is the parental figure in your family, in your life. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to steer you down the wrong road. And 9 times out of 10, they're just looking out for your best interests. The challenges that how I overcame those challenges, you know, in my head, I was like, I can be better than this. I am better than this. I will be better than this. And it's just constant positive thinking and positive processing in the head at all times. Any negative thinking is just going to wipe you out. It's going to kill your self-esteem. It's going to kill all of that. You know, negativity, just not good. People with us with fetal alcohol syndrome and anybody with a disability, it's a harder and a longer road to run, but I think we're a little bit more determined than the regular, normal, able-bodied and able-minded people. You know? And that's what kills some people is they look at me and they're like, yeah, she doesn't have a disability. Yeah, it might be invisible, but I've struggled 9% of my life and I've overcome so much that I deserve to put my feet on that dock and fish, and I'm gonna make it that way. And it's self-determination, I guess, you know. To get out of the negative thought pattern and to stay positive, for me, what I do is I take some time to myself. I weigh the pros and cons. I turn the music up and I just blast those tunes. The tunes really help. I try and get out in nature. So it helps because I've got the park behind me, so I can just take the dogs and go down the path. Go, you know, just walk and clear my head and, you know, think about, you know, if negativity is going to take me this way, where's the positivity going to take me? You're only going up. Simple as that. Positively, you're only going up. Future goals. Well, one would be to climb the chain in the film industry. I wouldn't mind getting a lot higher than what I am now. From that point, I just want to get out of the city. I want 4, 5, 6 hours away from this place. Cities I can't handle. There's a buzz about the city that just doesn't sit right with me. I need quiet. I need nature. I need no neighbors. You know, that would be it. You know, waterfront property where I can come home from work and sit on the dock and throw a line in the lake and fish and relax and just be one with nature.
Thank you so much, Melony, Marie-Lynne, and Colette. That was amazing. Thank you for being so open with us and sharing your life experiences. All three of you are incredible young women, and it's interesting because there are a lot of similarities in your stories. Your stories have highlighted the importance of receiving a diagnosis to help a person to have a better understanding about themselves, but also to actually be able to access some resources. My name is Lindsay. I'm a service coordinator in the adult program at Surrey Place, and I will be moderating the Q&A of this webinar. We want to apologize for the technical difficulty. Sometimes the sound was a little difficult to understand. Even though we've tried our best, there's always, you know, unforeseen hiccups. So we want to thank you for your patience. I'm sure the audience have some follow-up questions or some comments that they would like to make. Feel free to type in any of your questions in the Q&A box. And so we already have a question here, and it's open to anybody, Melody, Colette, or Marie-Lynne. You can feel free to answer it. And the question is, thank you everyone for sharing your lived experience. I'm a parent of a 5-year-old boy who has a prognosis of a at-risk FASD. What is your advice for parents on how to best support your child with this diagnosis? So who would like to answer that question? Okay, Colette, go ahead.
Basically, to best support your child is, make sure they're happy. Do what you can for them. If it means dragging them to, say, Surrey Place for a diagnosis, I would. Whether they'd like to or not. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I don't know if that answers the question, but sure.
Yeah, and a diagnosis or a prognosis of at risk, FASD, is that the child does not have the diagnosis yet, but there could be a possibility that the person may have an FASD disability and would need to be assessed at a later point. Colette, do you have sorry, Marie-Lynne, do you have some advice for this mom? Oh, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, hi. Trying to think. Yeah, just have like patience with them. Make sure they get tested or diagnosed as soon as possible. I don't know, it's gonna be tough, but
yeah. In your stories, you guys talked about the struggles you experienced in school, and I think a lot of parents and children can relate to that. I think at this, we always hope that people become more aware about FASD, and that teachers they're offered training, and children are offered occupational therapy and speech language along the way. Marie-Lynne, you didn't know that you had a diagnosis, a disability, while you were going to school, and it wasn't until you were in your 20s that you were diagnosed. So it must have been really difficult to struggle through school. Did you get any assessments while you were attending school?
no, it was super hard. Like, I didn't understand why I wasn't friends with people I was friends with in elementary school anymore, and I didn't understand why, like, I was behind, or like people would think I was dumb, or people would just like, I just felt really rejected, and I felt really, it was just super discouraging. It was really frustrating all the time. What else? Yeah, even just like in the things that I would like wear, or like how I was, that my interests, and like I was just younger than everybody else, like mentally. So I don't know. Yeah.
But you ended up going to college, and so did Colette.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us a little bit your experiences when you went to college?
I don't know. I started like, I focused a lot on school. I think I started drinking a lot in college and stuff. I did a lot of like impulsive things that I shouldn't have done. But I think that's like, it's like we have to learn good coping mechanisms, because if we're not acting out like in like a, I don't know, aggressive way or whatever, we're just gonna like repress it, and then like develop like some kind of substance abuse problem, or like depression or anxiety or whatever, like, and it's like we hide it, and we pretend we're fine, and we pretend everybody's like, oh, you don't seem like you have a disability, you're just kind of like unusual or different. But it's like we're just trying so hard to fit in and be normal and like whatever, and it's super, super exhausting. Like, so yeah.
Colette, do you want to follow up on that?
Yeah. So basically, when I went to college, I found that the supports in the Students with Disabilities Center really sucked. I didn't get the support that I needed. And I had to basically drop a few courses because of not being able to get the support that I needed. So, yeah.
Can you tell us what kind of courses you took? Like, was it like?
I took corrections. I took corrections. So basically, jail guard, stuff like that. I did well in the subject of criminology. I think most of us will. And the one that I had a bit of an issue was developmental psychology. That one was a bit rough for me, and I dropped it. Had to take it twice to actually fulfill the requirements for that course.
Yeah, you've kind of just hinted in regards to, you know, justice system at Surrey Place during FASD assessments. When we complete the assessments, we oftentimes hear that individuals are involved with the justice system from a very early age, and it can happen that it follows them throughout their whole lives. Did you guys, and thank you for being so honest and sharing, you know, all this information with the audience. Did you guys struggle with, you know, staying on the straight and narrow and not getting involved with the police and the justice system?
I've got a juvenile record. I got, I guess, expunged when I turned 18. And it isn't massive. It was just an assault. Yeah, just an assault, but you know, yeah, if I didn't have my parents to help me out of that situation, I probably would still be involved with the justice system.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right. Marie-Lynne, did you ever get involved with the justice system?
So no, because my sister was the one that was kind of going through it, and my mom was a single mother, and my parents got divorced, so I was kind of just like not gonna put her through any more trouble than she needs to. I probably, maybe I would have if I didn't have my sister, but I was like also just like seeing what could happen like through her, and I was trying to do better. I don't know. Yeah, and I was gonna say, in college, I think the only way I really like finished was because I lived really close to college. I literally would stay after school and like work till like midnight, like almost every night. Like people would leave and I would be the only one left, and I would just keep working on stuff. And like that's like I couldn't focus in class, and I also was on so many medications that it wasn't even helping. Like they thought I had ADHD, they thought I had all these things, anxiety, whatever, but eventually finally we figured out that it was FASD when and you can't give stimulants to someone with an FASD diagnosis because our minds, our brains are already overstimulated, so it just makes it even worse. So
yeah. So Colette, Colette and Melony, you guys are parents, and for some reason, I don't know if it's again another technical glitch, I can't see Melony's picture up. You guys are parents. Being a parent is a tough job on any given day, but being a parent with FASD and you have a child who also has FASD and a child who doesn't have a disability, how did you survive? Like how were you able to support yourself and your two children, not just, you know, through housing and feeding, but also emotionally?
was difficult. Emotions, you know, when I was younger, I was a stone cold person. You know what I mean? Now I'm like an emotional wreck. You know, so I misread my daughter sometimes. If she's having a rough day, you know, I don't really notice it, but she'll verbalize it. My son, who's affected, him was a little bit easier to deal with. He was definitely a challenge though, in his teenage years. He would get into a lot of stuff, got into drugs, got into alcohol, some judicial stuff as well, which I really don't want to discuss with him, but because he's not here to okay it.
Yeah.
It took a toll on everybody in our family. At the beginning, when he was a baby, it was easy. You know, you can usually read what's going on with a baby. You can kind of tell what's going on. And then when it came to toddler stage, you can see in the video, I had broke up with their birth father, and it got pretty violent on his side. So I moved them to the safety of my parents. And my parents raised them until, like I said, about 10, 11, 12-ish of age. And then they came home. So school was, for them, as high school years, was definitely interesting. Thank God I have the boyfriend that I do have, because him and his boys have both helped majorly with raising these kids when they were teenagers and going through, you know, the teenagers' woes and throes of high school. So I've had a lot of help, and if I didn't have the help, I probably wouldn't have my kids.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Melony, you too have had a lot of help from your aunt and uncle.
Yes, I was lucky to get the support of my family when my son was very young. And also, I was with the wrong guy who didn't offer any support, wasn't helping at all. So I just had to make a decision and just move on.
Yeah, that's great. And you guys have been so lucky to have family support. A lot of individuals, you know, don't have that. And it shows that a person with FASD really does require, you know, a lot of support throughout their lives. Talking about supports, you know, we oftentimes hear that individuals have difficulties accessing supports. I think all three of you are on ODSP, and when a person is diagnosed with FASD, it's oftentimes easier to get ODSP than other supports. Now, Colette and Marie-Lynne, you're currently not registered with the Developmental Services Ontario, and so are not able to access any additional supports. But Melony, you are registered with the DSO and have been able to access some additional supports. Melony, do you want to talk about how those additional supports have helped you?
Well, they've helped me because now the support, so you can like you can get passport funding, so it's a chunk of money that you can go out and be in the community, pay for things. If you want to go camping or karate, or do like acting, like do like an acting program, you can do that. They may be able to pay for school if it's not like if it's just a basic course. So they'll be able to pay for school if you want to take like a course or anything. And it's very helpful because it's money that you can use towards programs and things that you love to do.
Yeah, that's right. And you also have the support of an adult protective service worker.
Yes.
Yeah. So Colette had, sorry, go ahead.
I was able to get a worker because of my son. So I was able to get a worker. So she's also really helpful because she was able to get you services and like help you with all like financial supports, and like it's a good person to have to help you.
Yeah, definitely. And this is, thank you for bringing up the financial piece, and all three of you spoke about this in your video, that managing your money can be very difficult and tricky, not only because you're only, oftentimes only have the income of ODSP, and so you're working with a very tight budget, but it's just, the regular being able to pay bills on time, just to remember, paying your bills on time, and not being, going out to the mall at the end of the month when your ODSP comes in and spending all your money within a few days. Have you guys ever thought of having somebody else take on your financial piece so you don't have to worry about so much? Yeah, Colette?
I have my ODSP goes to my dad's account. He's my guarantor, so he pays the rent with the ODSP. It comes out of his bank account. Well, because I rent off of Parks Canada, it's federal government, so they don't do checks or stuff like that. So they pull it from his actual credit card, and then my ODSP goes and pays that portion of what they've pulled. For anything else, like I said in the video, I've got to work. If I want to put food in the fridge, if I want to pay the hydro bill, I want to pay my car insurance, I want to pay my car payment. If I want to pay anything other than my rent, I have to work. And it's difficult sometimes, because when you're working, you get so much, and with the film industry, you can be working 12 to 18 hours a day, and you get a good chunk of money, but sometimes you got to wait for that to come in, and bill collectors are not normally the nicest people out there, and they want that money on the 1st or the 10th or whenever your due date is. And they don't care if the money is not there when it's supposed to be there. And so it's been a little bit difficult during COVID, because the film industry was the first industry to close down mid-February, and we've just started to come back now. There's only one show that is actually out and maybe two out and shooting right now, and a couple commercials. So yeah. Stop. Sorry, I got the puppy.
Yeah, I can hear it in the background. Yeah. Marie-Lynne, do you want to add anything to that piece?
Sure. Yeah. What was the question again, though?
Just about managing your finances, and if you would find it helpful if somebody could assist you with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely need that, because yeah, especially, I don't know. Well, sometimes I feel like having ODSP and not having a caseworker actually made my life even more difficult. Well, because if I'm working, I have to figure out like when to send them my earnings and like how much did I work, and then sometimes I don't work as much as like other weeks, and like it's confusing. I don't know how much I'm getting at the end of the month. Now there's like a point where I couldn't access my pay stubs for like a year, and then now they're deducting from my ODSP, so now I'm getting even like half as much from ODSP at the end of the month. So I'm just like super confused, and yeah, it's not even like enough to cover a 1-bedroom apartment. Like, it's super frustrating. So, but it is helpful. Like, obviously, I definitely need it. So, and as far as like, yeah, organizing, getting somebody to organize my money would be amazing. Like, somebody to put aside my bills and then pay my bills on time and do it, because my phone bill, things that are not end of the month, because ODSP is literally, yeah, you just use it for rent. That's it. And my phone bill, my like hydro, it's like, it adds up. I end up paying them late, and it just ends up a huge sum of money that I have to pay all at once. Sometimes, like, yeah. Yeah, if I could just get my bills separated and my spending money, yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, Colette, you wanted to add something?
Yes, I would. It's like stealing from Paul to pay Peter every month. You know, sometimes before it would be like, do I put groceries in the fridge, or do I pay my hydro bill and go without any heat and electricity? It's definitely worrisome every month. You know, you look at what you can do and you try to budget as best as possible. But I've always been the type of person to be able to do it myself. You know, there's a video from back when I was a kid. You know, my dad said, "Oh, can I help you?" And I say, "I know, I do myself." So when it comes to financials, I might, freak out once every couple of weeks because a massive bill has come in, and you see all the late payment charges or the interest fees stacking up, or you go into your account and you see you got a negative balance of $250 because a loan has come out of your account when it wasn't supposed to. And it's definitely, like I said, it's stealing from Paul to pay Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. So too. When you're ready. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Marie-Lynne.
The box isn't around me.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, I find too, like with a disability, like we work so hard just to almost be like, I don't want to say mediocre, but like just to get it, just to survive. And like, it's hard to even get like jobs that are, I don't know, it's like, it's hard to, for me anyway, it's like hard to get promoted after even like a long time of working somewhere. Like, it's like super frustrating because I'm like training somebody and then they get more ahead than me in the job, and then it's like I don't get paid as much as other people. And that's another thing where it's like financially it's like stressful, because it's like, am I ever going to be able to live the life that I want and deserve and that other people seem to be able to have? Because like I feel like I'm working so hard and I'm not even like, I can't afford my apartment, and like everything else. So yeah, super frustrating.
Yeah, I can see how that would be very frustrating for you guys, and like you guys said, you have to put in so much energy on a daily basis, just to even get up on time, right? And remember your appointments, and pretend that maybe you understood the instructions that your supervisor gave you, and just put that face on, right? And just kind of hope that you can wing it somehow and not get fired. I think you guys have shown us that it can be a struggle, but with the right supports, and especially I think you know, Colette, you had said that your dad was that external brain for you, that when you have the support of family and caseworkers, that that you can lead successful lives. You guys are, you know, you guys have shown that, and I want to thank you so much for sharing your very private story with a big audience today. So I want to thank you. I'm not sure if anybody wants to have, you know, the last word, any more advice to give to anybody listening today. Yeah, Colette?
Also,
oh, sorry. Melody, go ahead.
Also, make sure you're with the right man, because they can get you into trouble.
Very true.
I've been down that road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, relationships can be tricky.
Yeah. Make sure you're with the right people. Make sure you surround yourself with the right people, I guess, or people should understand that we need people to look out for us, because we're very trusting, we're very good people, we're super friendly, we're like really like free-spirited, and we like doing stuff and anything, but we kind of need somebody to look out for us, because otherwise we get into so much trouble. I mean, I don't know, I feel like I got away with a lot. Maybe I just didn't get caught. That's why I didn't get like trouble with the law or whatever. But like, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And again, we want to apologize. Wow, there's a puppy in the picture. I want to apologize again for the technical difficulties that we had today. And if you want to review the video, you know, it is posted on YouTube, and the link to the video is posted in this question and answer box. So thank you very much. And I hope you all enjoyed this session, and I'm going to pass it on to Eric.
Okay, so I've successfully unmuted myself this time. Again, I want to thank the three women that were on our panel today. What you shared with us, your candor, I think is going to benefit all of us in better understanding individuals with FASD, and also better supporting them, right? So thank you for that. We really, really appreciate you being with us here today. For the rest of us, this wraps up our conversation. We apologize if we weren't able to get to your question today. Be sure to check out our website at www.surreyplace.ca/FASD-series to join our next webinar on September 23rd, or to watch recordings of previous webinars in this series. You can also follow us on social media at SurreyPlaceON. Lastly, we'd love to hear about your experience in this webinar today. So please, there'll be a link to a quick survey that will be sent in the chat box right about now. And we'd really appreciate if you'd fill out this survey. Your feedback is very important to us. We want to continue delivering these kinds of webinars. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And together, let's keep the conversation going, build resilience, and better support the lives of individuals with FASD.